I personally don't believe that was ever the point, but no, they're not saving any money from these probationary and trial period employee firings. This has nothing to do with eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. They are fully reinstated, all 125 of them. They are on paid admin leave.
Now they're getting paid for not doing their job. So did the government really save any money here?
Not at all, no.
I voted for Trump to drain the swamp, but then I got fired from my government job. Meet Jennifer Pagod, a former Treasury Department employee who supported Trump's plan to slash government jobs, until she became one of those slash jobs. Oops, Jennifer's not alone. Thousands of Trump voters are now learning the hard way that when you cheer for someone to burn down the house, you shouldn't be surprised when your own room catches fire. This video reveals the massive wave of Trump voter regret sweeping through red states as policies they celebrated are now destroying their livelihoods. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
The reason given for the firings of 125 probationary employees at the Bureau?
I had my last review on the 31st of January, and I had the highest rating that you can get on a review, less than 21 days. I was embarrassed.
He's a good boy.
Pagod was abruptly fired last month from the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service, based here in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Before I was terminated for my performance.
You voted for Donald Trump.
I did.
Do you regret that vote?
Yes, I do. To cut the knees out of the working class Americans just doesn't make sense to me. I expected more from President.
Meet Jennifer Pagod, a die-hard Trump fan who probably wore her MAGA hat to bed. She was living the American dream with her government job at the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service in Parkersburg, West Virginia. That is, until she got the boot. The same budget cuts she likely cheered for at Trump rallies came knocking at her own door. Talk about a plot twist. Jennifer's reaction? I feel a little bit betrayed, you think? Jennifer wasn't alone in this spectacular self-own. Over 125 of her co-workers got pink slips too, all courtesy of the Trump administration's mission to drain the swamp. Turns out the swamp had actual people in it. Who knew? And not just any people, but the very folks who voted for the guy with the drain plug in his hand. These weren't Washington elites getting tossed out. These were everyday Americans in places like West Virginia who thought government cuts sounded great until those cuts showed up in their bank accounts. The irony here is thicker than Trump's makeup. These government jobs weren't just random positions. They were economic lifelines for entire communities in deep red states.
This flag used to hang there.
This was the flag Jennifer Pagod proudly hung outside her home during campaign 2024.
We had the flag. I had the shirt. I was a MAGA junkie.
A MAGA.
Out from the cuts by Elon Musk and his Doge team, President Trump got more than 70% of the vote in Wood County, West Virginia last November. But some people who find their federal jobs in limbo now say they regret supporting him. Randy Kay.
The junkie who thought her government job would be safe with Donald Trump in office. She was wrong.
I cried. It's scary, you know, it's a really scary thing. And
places where a federal job might be the difference between middle-class stability and economic disaster. The same communities that voted overwhelmingly for a guy who promised to slash government spending are now shocked, I tell you, that government spending was actually slashed. It's what I call the cheese pizza effect. You call the pizza place, specifically order a cheese pizza with no toppings, and then act outraged when a cheese pizza with no toppings arrives at your door. But I didn't think my pizza would be plain. I thought only other people's pizzas would have no toppings. That's exactly what happened with these voters. They ordered budget cuts, got budget cuts, and then stood there with their mouths hanging open like they'd been personally betrayed. The psychology here is fascinating. These voters genuinely believe that draining the swamp was only going to affect people they didn't like. You know, the mythical coastal elites, or the shadowy deep state, or whatever boogeyman was featured on Fox News that week. They never imagined that the policies they supported would eliminate their own jobs. It's like voting for a meteor strike and then being surprised when rocks start falling on your house. Jennifer Pagod literally voted herself out of a job. She supported an administration whose entire platform included slashing the very department that signed her paychecks.
She also voted for Trump.
Would you still have supported him?
I'm not sure that I would have. The way that it's been done, I'm for balancing the budget, that type of thing, but not in this.
President Donald Trump.
Since speaking out, Pagod says she's received death threats and her home has been egged. This woman asked us not to show her face for fear of retribution. She recently retired from the Bureau of Fiscal Service because she was afraid of losing her health insurance if she was fired.
Context, it's just not right.
Earlier this month, a federal judge ordered half a dozen federal agencies to immediately offer thousands of probationary employees their jobs back. But this week, the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court,
it's like a chicken voting for Colonel Sanders and then being surprised about ending up in a bucket. Did she think Trump would personally review each government position and say, no, not Jennifer, she's one of the good ones? The Trump budget cuts created a wave of confused, unemployed supporters across red states. People who spent years railing against big government suddenly discovered that they were, in fact, big government. Oops. Communities that depended on federal agencies for their economic survival got a crash course in why government jobs aren't just waste when they're your jobs. When those paychecks disappeared, so did the local economies they supported. What's especially wild is how these cuts targeted agencies that employed Trump's most loyal voters. It's like Trump was playing a practical joke on his own base. You know what would be hilarious? If we fired all the people who love us the most. Red state communities where Trump won by landslide margins suddenly found themselves with unemployment offices full of people wearing faded MAGA hats, wondering what the heck happened. Jennifer's story represents thousands of government workers who essentially voted for their own firing squad, then acted surprised when the bullets hit them instead of someone else. These folks stood in voting booths, pencils in hand, and checked the box next to, "Please eliminate my job and destroy my community's economy." Then they had the audacity to feel betrayed when exactly that happened. One former federal employee who lost their job thanks to these cuts said, "If I could go back in time, I would have voted for Vice President Harris in a heartbeat." That's quite the change of heart. Nothing makes you rethink your political choices quite like losing your livelihood because of them. Maybe voting based on culture war grievances isn't such a great idea when the candidate you're supporting is actively plotting to eliminate your job. And now, folks, we're watching the MAGA crowd experience what experts call regret in real time. One Trump voter recently confessed, "I got caught up in MAGA and now I'm paying the price." Ouch. Talk about a political walk of shame. The big question hanging over America like Trump's comb over in a windstorm. Will these voters learn their lesson, or will they keep shooting themselves in the foot just to make liberals cry? It's like watching someone who hates firefighters vote to defund the fire department, then act shocked when their house burns down. Here's a life tip. When someone promises to break the government you depend on, don't give them the hammer.